Time now for the word on Wall Street. Top investors watching your money. Joining me now, Dominari Securities CEO Kyle Wohl. Also with me here on set, Ryan Payne. Kyle, good morning. I want to start with you. We've got this negative start to our Monday. Futures are actually in the red. We did have a big, nice rally on Friday. Right now, though, the Dow is down 205 in the pre-market, NASDAQ as well. But here's Friday's close, so pretty decent returns. All three major indices up more than 0.5%. That really, at that point, shrugged off that CME outage, which happened in the morning. The NASDAQ, though, is still seeing a loss of 1.5% for November, and there's a lot of concern about AI bubbles. Other rallies boosting market sentiment. Commodities jumping over dovish Fed remarks and a supply squeeze. Silver topped $55 an ounce on Friday. Gold up higher now again, as you can see, 4,284. I want to get your reaction to all of this, Kyle, in particular as we move into this final month of the year. What do you expect to see? Do you think volatility is going to be an issue for the markets?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to see volatility, but I also think the market pays attention a little bit too much day to day. And if you look at 2025 as a whole, the NASDAQ's had a great year. It's up 20%. The S&P 500 is up 15%. Gold's up 62%. And silver's up over 90%. So you've really had a tremendous rally. And there's an old saying, and I think it's one of the few true old sayings, is you don't fight the Fed, right? Everybody's talking about the Fed. Are they going to cut rates? I think another rate cut's probably priced in, and that's why you're seeing silver and gold where they're trading today. And I think whether there'll be a Santa Claus rally or what's going to happen here in the market going into the end of the year, I expect volatility. I mean, you have Bitcoin down 2% year to date. You have gold up 60%. So I think you're going to see volatility, but there's always good places to put your market. And going back to your comment on the AI stocks, I like the AI verse. I still love a lot of the energy stocks, especially the nuclear stocks like Constellation Energy, another stock up over 60%. And you're continuing to see money focused on power and power generation to fuel the AI boom. So I think the AI is going to have some winners and some losers, but I do think power is where I'd be putting my money if I was putting new money into this market in the AI space.
Ryan, and obviously with AI, you had the comment that AI is overconcentrated right now and that there's got to be kind of a mix of investments there. Still, though, you say the AI trade is alive and well.
It is, but I always say that creative destruction is always around the corner. And I'll give you this data point. If you go back to data center chip revenue in 2001, the first quarter, well, Intel had 65% of that revenue. Fast forward today, NVIDIA has 80% of that revenue. So things can change very quickly, and you're never going to know where it comes from. And I think right now, with the Fed clearly going to cut interest rates, we're going to have someone more Fed friend, or let's say Trump friendly in that position next year. Probably Kevin Hassett probably will cut rates again. So I always say you want to start to skate where the puck is going to be. And with rates coming down, we saw this last week. I mean, small caps were up over 4%. They're extremely rate sensitive. They trade much cheaper than the S&P 500 in the AI trade. If you have rates continue being cut here, that also means weaker dollar, which has been great for foreign exposure. If you look at this year, like Canada's up 20%. You look at Mexico's up 30%. Emerging markets have done really well here. And a lot of the tariff issues that we were concerned about, really haven't come to fruition, like the USMCA, the deal with Canada and Mexico, basically still in place from 2018. So you're getting the same kind of trade back and forth. You have cutting rates all around the world, not just in the U.S., which was really boosting international exposure. So I'm like a kid in the candy store as an asset allocator right now. There's so many places to put your money. You don't have to concentrate it in that AI trade, and that's all we talk about day after day. It's not like an all or none proposition, and I think that's the biggest mistake investors.
That's a great problem to have, to be honest with you, Ryan. So I think those ancillary plays are something that many investors, the smart ones, have been doing for a while, like yourself. I do want to pull up yields this morning. Futures traders are pricing in an 87% chance the Fed cuts rates a quarter point this month. President Trump said last night he's made a decision on the new Fed chair. Who's going to replace Jerome Powell? Listen to him on Air Force One last night.
Picking a new Fed chair, are you any closer on that right now?
I know who I'm going to pick. Yeah.
Ooh, tell us.
Kevin Hassett?
I'm not telling you. We'll be announcing it.
Is it Kevin Hassett? Little laugh there from the president. So Kevin Hassett told Fox Business he'd be happy to serve if he was chosen by the president. Maria asked Kevin Hassett about this just last week. Watch.
We know that you were on the short list to become potentially the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. When do you expect the president to tell us who he's chosen for the next chairman of the Fed job?
I think that the president is expecting to interview final candidates sometime over the next couple of months, and then we'll probably have a decision sometime soon around the new year. It could be tomorrow.
I don't know, Kyle. He said he's already made his decision. So is President Trump really going to wait 3 weeks to make that announcement? I don't know.
It's really hard to predict what President Trump's going to do day to day. I think we've all realized it's probably not the easiest bet to make in the world, right? He can announce it tomorrow for all we know, or he can wait to Christmas Eve. But I do think there's a lot of places to put your money in the market that's not AI. And I really think 2026 is going to be about critical rare earth and going out there and finding logistics chains with countries like Kazakhstan and Vietnam, countries that are so friendly to China, where the United States will make deals or take off-take agreements. So if there is something about skating where the puck's going, I'd be really focused on critical rare earth and critical minerals in general for 2026.
All right, pivoting back to that AI conversation. Ryan, last word to you. Kevin Hassett, the next Federal Reserve Chair.
I mean, yeah, look, he probably is. And think about this. There's still $7.5 trillion sitting in money market funds. If the Fed keeps cutting rates, and they probably are, where's that money going to go? Probably the stock market.
There you go. Kyle Wohl, Ryan, it's great to see you both. Of course, Ryan's going to stay with us. Thank you.